Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, today the question is, what's the difference between a throw and a blanket? Throw, you probably know that word as a verb, to throw a ball at someone or to someone. So when we use that as a noun, it's like a little blanket. A throw is like a small blanket, the kind that you can put over your legs if you're cold sitting on the sofa. In the UK, most of us have throws sitting around our different rooms, just in case you get cold. You can cover your legs with a throw, or if you want to rest on the sofa, you can lift up the throw and just cover your body with it and go to sleep. It's not very thick, so that's why we don't call it a blanket. We call it a throw because we just throw it over our bodies. A throw. I went to buy one yesterday, actually. God, the price of those things. They used to be very cheap. I mean, they're not thick. They're just printed thin material. But they were charging between 10 and 20 pounds for a throw. I think I'll wait until I go to a larger department store. But you can get cheap ones. They don't all have to be very expensive ones. But sometimes they have patterns on there. In Scotland, it's very common for them to have tartan. So yeah, a throw is what it's called. Okay, today, as well as talking about the throw that we have in our home, what's yours like, by the way? Mine's tartan. I'm looking at it now. It's a red tartan throw. As well as talking about throws, it's also National Poetry Day. So if you feel like putting pen to paper, writing a few lines, this is a very good day to do it. One of the saddest things, though, about today is that poetry now in the UK it's kind of dead. It's not something that people celebrate anymore. It used to be the language of protest, the language of love as well, but now it's just the language of boredom. Isn't that a great pity that something so beautiful has been reduced down? Part of it, of course, is because of the way we communicate. We don't really use poetry in the UK, but in different parts of the world, the Arab world, for example, poetry is still a very big thing. And it's celebrated by everyone over there. They go to the streets, they read poems as protests, they write poems of love. I was talking to an Indian guy the other day, and we were talking about poetry, and he said, yeah, I only ever wrote it when I was dating to impress my girlfriend, but then we got married. So that was the end of his poetry. Well, I love writing poetry. And yeah, I'm going to share one of my poems with you now. It's all about my grandfather. He was a very dark man. I mean, his moods were very dark. He wasn't one who really said a lot. I think it's because men in those days, they didn't express themselves. Also, they went through the war, so they seem to carry with them a great sadness. I don't know, my grandfather, he always seemed to be a little bit depressed. I never quite understood why, but he was always looking over his shoulder at something that presumably happened to him when he was younger. I don't know, but a very quiet man. So in this poem I'm going to read to you, I'm comparing his dark moods with the tree that he used to sit under. Okay. So it says, in the shade of Grandpa's house, there stood a rowan tree. where my brother tried to climb with Rosalind and me. She was our cousin. Every day my grandpa came, admired its towering boughs, while we as children playing there saw darkened twigs and crows. Shadows hung upon his life with towering, darkened power. Yet we as children plain could see they're withering every hour. Withering just means dying, so the tree was dying. Its leaves held back the sunshine light, its branches stern with years. Sitting with his chair and pipe, it calmed away his fears. Yet we as children, playing in sight, saw only twigs and leaves, revealing more of the sky to us than he could ever see. We pointed up at shafts of light throughout the darkened power, whilst he preferred the shaded glade to pass the wakened hour. We saw sun and endless days. Upon his chair he sat. Despite the passing years it stood, the tree was sound at heart. So basically we were looking up at this tree and seeing all of these beautiful lights shining through it, these big shafts of light coming in through the branches. But he didn't. All he saw was the tree's darkness that kind of sheltered him as he sat in the shades, you know. It was very strange because I think as a metaphor, the tree revealed to us a lot of beauty, and it spoke about the future, you know, old things falling away, old beliefs falling away, revealing to us hope and joy. But for him, it didn't. The tree was something to shelter under, and he didn't really want to see the light coming through the tree. He just preferred the darkened spot, you know, which is just a metaphor for his mood. Yeah. The tree is called a rowan tree. That's a very popular tree in the north of the UK. Loads of trees around here are rowan trees. Also a popular boy's name, Rowan. I know a few people with that name, so that's a nice name, isn't it? Rowan. So I don't know what it is in your language, but it's one of these lovely big trees, and in the winter it has little red berries that you can't eat. Yeah, remember, if you're ever wondering about whether you can eat from a tree in the UK, the proverb says, leaves of three, let them be. Leaves of four, eat some more. So in other words, if the tree has 3 leaves, don't touch the berries because you'll get poisoned. Leaves of 4, eat some more, okay, is giving you permission to eat as much as you want. So let them be means don't touch them. So for example, if you see kids playing in the street and they're doing something wrong, your friend or your wife or whoever might say, oh, just let them be. Leave them be. Don't touch them. Don't go near them. Yeah. And the same with leaves on the trees. Leaves of 3, let them be. Don't eat them. Leaves of 4, eat some more. There we are. That's it from me. So happy Poetry Day. Do try to write some poems. Yeah, that would be nice. I'd like to see those actually. If you do, or translate one of your own into English if you are a poet. Thankfully, there are still countries out there which celebrate poetry. See you all soon. Take care. Have a lovely day. Bye.